Prayer took 28 minutes for them to go back and forth and get that first blood in, so I hope they're not looking to the heavens for this one.
It's been so tough for LGD. I almost find it a little bit tragic because you have so many incredibly good players, but it seems like the team is just completely mentally destroyed.
Yep.
You hear it in all of their interviews that they've been giving, and it's rare a team gets so mentally destroyed that they're actually admitting it in all of their outward media.
Yeah. Usually a team very, very outspoken about how well they're going to do, how hard they're going to crush.
How they're staying positive. Even if they're not truly believing it, they're at least saying the other thing to keep the illusion of hope.
And look at this, Origen sticking with the rest. Every game, Lee and Rek'Sai banned against TVQ to make his life that much harder. We see the regular bans of Lulu more.
Big mistake, in my opinion, from LGD with the last ban. I would much rather give Elise over to Origen than a Kalista. I think it's the best pick probably for the entire team. We've seen what Nils can do on it. LGD, though, has shown they like to play hard mode in these pick and ban phases. Give Mordekaiser and Lulu in the last game. Give Kalista now to Nils.
Yeah, probably Annie coming through for Mythi as well after this. Origen already with the first pick in complete control of their destiny. They get to pick a wide array of good
And it was funny, Jet, because this morning when we got into the shuttle, you looked at me and you said, oh, LGD 3-0 today.
Yeah.
They're going to bounce back. But then you started laughing suddenly right after, and I was like, oh, okay, is he joking? Is he serious? What's really going on here? We watched the first game of the day with LGD, and you're like, yeah, no, that's 0-6. That's not going to happen. And that's a Graves.
Maybe I meant to say 2-1. Maybe they're going to... Maybe they'll turn it around in between these last
You know what? I'm glad we're seeing Graves. I played a solo queue game with him the other night. Felt really good. Let's see if they could actually...
they were spectating you. That's why.
Get it going.
Graves is good into Kalista. There's a few things to note about Kalista. She's so bouncy and so mobile, but champions that within the engagement range of Kalista can just straight up out-trade and be more powerful. Trist can do it with the engagement window.
Very true.
Graves is another champion who just, because of his passive of getting the armor and magic resistance, will then win trades against Kalista in short range.
You can dance around all you want, but here's a shotgun in your face, and then Graves will win the short trade every single time. If he has an AD carry, a support that can lock down Kalista as well, setting that up will be easy. So Annie would make a lot of sense for PYL, and you have that massive kill lane then down the bottom lane.
Looks like there may have been a problem in Champ Select.
Champ Select. So looking at so far what we have, they absolutely may want to. We did just get onto the desk, so they're. I'm going to stick with.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
So waiting to get back into this Champion Select, we did see Kennen as well being a flex pick for what could be happening on the side of OG, because Mythi's more the Annie, but there's still initiation in that Fate's Call throw-in, which we've seen from a lot of teams.
So I'm a little confused to what's happening because the Champion Select is still going on our screen.
Just got word that there was issue with the client, so we're going to back out, get back in here. We are back into the lobby. So Mythi, rest of the team, they still have a chance to chat before the game, can talk about what's happening. See if we stick with the same bans. We'll get confirmation on that. And since from what we saw, did just get confirmation, same thing all the way up to Janna.
All right, so the Janna counts, and it's the final pick. So second Janna we get to see.
Very surprising again that Janna then comes in what you would assume was a kill lane, like all in engaged on the Kalista, shut her down at the laning phase. Janna obviously makes it, again, super easy for Graves to trade, but the kill pressure just goes down a little bit.
I think Janna Graves is just a really strong lane.
It used to be one of the strongest 2v2 lanes you could have, but again, it's a lot about how you AD carry trades, and a lot about forcing people away from minions and zone them, then straight up killing them like if you run an Annie support.
I think Imp's going for the kill.
He's going to aim for it.
If he's going to come away with anything from this World Championship, at least have it be a few 2v2 kills.
When did they not want to take the 2v2 last year in Worlds? They always tried to match up the lanes. It was a lane that wants to fight, and now Imp's kind of left by himself, and then the rest of the team's dying across the map. You know you can hear him saying, guys, please stay alive for a little bit if you're going to put me on this carry.
This really has been the massive problem for LGD and this bottom lane is they're not used to playing in this. Weird enough, they are not playing well around double teleport, even though they were one of the teams in the LPL who started running double teleport. So what happens is you need to play a lot more around your top laner, because you can obviously TP down to that bottom lane, and then you can nullify whatever advantage was built up. They don't do that. So instead they try and play around him, and he gets a kill, but then the other team is like, okay, let's TP down with two guys and just 5-man kill him. And that advantage doesn't do anything, and it's something POL was talking a lot about. They don't really understand this meta just yet, despite being a team who started double teleport in the playoffs of LPL.
So So I feel like something may still be wrong. Flame is pointing questioningly at the screen, and we're back on our faces again.
More time for us.
So we will now walk backwards a little bit once again.
So we'll get this all sorted out. Flame's client did bug out on that one, so it looks like you go one to the other, maybe to back out of the way.
What a tough day for Flame.
It's
first game he gets destroyed.
Easy.
And now the client doesn't work for him. I mean, life is not easy for Flame.
It's not going to be easy to reignite that passion that he has coming in here, especially when he was hoping to fill bigger shoes in that top lane and really things didn't go well. Not even really focused in his games too much, just not performing from the get-go.
Flame had a disappointing debut to Worlds, but it really seems like he's been subbed into a very difficult to salvage situation.
Oh, they kicked him down the hole. He's not getting up there, but the entire team is down with him.
Maybe they can noodle him back out.
Well, the thing is, we weren't even expecting go catfishing with
yeah, good.
But really, we weren't expecting to see Flame coming into this tournament, even though he was a listed sub, because throughout the regular season, it felt like during most of the matches that mattered, Acorn was playing, including all of the playoffs. And Flame was getting games, it felt like, mainly because he was on the roster and they wanted to keep him fresh in case something happened with Acorn. The emergency sub didn't seem to work out too well.
No. Again, the whole playstyle for LGD, if you look at the LPL season, was around Imp and Godvid. So Flame was the carry top laner, but you don't want to put all your resources on the top side, so you take Acorn instead, who's more the team player with the teleport, and then you play around Imp and Godvid. They're still trying to do exactly the same. Every other team is just saying, no, we just get our top lane ahead, and then he TPs down and he kills them.
Also, switching players in and out has been dicey for every team, not SKT. Any other team that's trying to switch,
good, right?
Because we heard EasyHoon's reason for why that works.
Maybe because I'm good.
It only took him 30 seconds to tell us.
But even when a team's having trouble now, you look at LGD, that becomes an even weaker point that you can hit because there's less communication there. You know, there's a chance that there's the honeymoon spark when you put your sub in, but nothing has been coming up for LGD throughout this tournament. On the flip side, I like that Peke was talking about that passion because you look at that emotion and how he controls it so much, and the guy he took to come with him on this team, his emotions are all over. Soaz does not control emotions very well, but it's like opposites attract in that sense for Origen, and it just seems like they have the mentality coming into this Worlds that has worked, and that's not something you can just replicate in another day.
And you can't really fault anyone for not expecting Origen to win this group because Peke said himself he didn't expect it. They were almost happy just taking 2 wins over Team Solo Mid, and that was about it. But now suddenly, they've been playing so well, and they've been locking in champions extremely fast.
Look at what we got here. All right, so Orianna Malphite is also picked up. There's a lot of potential for some crazy wombo combos on the side of Origen right now. But that Janna definitely helps with a lot of the disengage they'll be needing.
Yeah, you can send her last pick here into Orianna.
Oh, can you?
You can.
I feel like we've seen it before.
I feel,
Okay,
it might have happened
earlier today against Bjergsen. He did die to an early gank from Elise, but then was able to actually out-CS Bjergsen at the 10-minute mark thanks to teleporting.
Sure, and that's the trade-off you have. You have teleports, so there's a higher chance you get stunned and then ganked and dies, but then you can just return to the lane, and obviously you don't really care too much, unless we see TP Syndra, which I don't think is too terrible, because you can then match it, and you still have the long range, you can still set up the ganks very effective, and you don't often need that Ignite to finish off the target. I'm just a fan of double teleport, so...
Diana, there we go. The crowd's doing the wave again.
Bring it in.
By the way.
This crowd is always doing the wave. 11 out of 10 for their wave technique as well. So we have the final picks in. Godby does take the Diana to Fischio. I think you're going to get your wish. A double teleport coming down in this game. Imp throws a pick to the wind. He's going to be bringing out the Graves this game.
Godby was the man who really brought Diana back into the scene, running that double teleport for LPL. Or for LGD in the LPL.
Gotcha.
I want to see what he can do. The problem for Godby so far in this tournament has been his play. Very simple. He's been flashing the wrong way. He's been shooting arrows the wrong way. He's not been performing at all. One of the most hyped up players coming into this tournament. Was probably one of the least hyped players coming into the tournament in the mid lane.
Yeah, at this point, the most hyped thing for LGD is the crowd beside them, who is just constantly doing the wave. I wonder how long they're going to be able to keep this up for before the game.
I don't know. You lose a lot of blood in your arms after that first 5 minutes, but they just, I don't know. They have something we don't. Maybe it's being near the North Pole.
Well, technically, the wave is taking a little while to go around, so it's not like they're holding their hands up. They're just
very good at this.
and the amount of participation, like wave participation in the crowd is
usually you have a few rows that sit down.
Yeah,
and then it discourages the rest of the wave.
Quick. Yay! And it goes around.
So share your predictions by tweeting at LOL Esports with the hashtag OGWin or the hashtag LGDWin. Going to see TBQ on another new jungler for himself this time. That Evelynn game last time still lackluster. Now the Gragas does being able to displace the team and that bit of chaos work with what's been happening with LGD, because it's kind of been chaos from their side the whole tournament long.
Really for the entire team, not knowing where to be on the map in the early game, especially also for TBQ.
About to get into game 4. OG versus LGD here. Coming out of Group D.
Yeah, and as far as importance go for Origen right now, even if they lose this game, they can still place first in the group by defeating KT, because that would put them at 5 wins, and it would give the second loss to KT since Origen already beat them the first time. So even though I mentioned that this is a trap game, the only penalty for Origen to lose this is if they then lose to KT, instead of forcing a tiebreaker, they would place second automatically. So it's still kind of important.
Absolutely.
But not utmost important.
So PYL decided to start with an early ward here in his inventory. I want to see where he puts it down. Normally you don't want to put that into standard lane swap positions, because you just need like 1 minute of information on this one to see if anyone is going to the top side of the map. Still has it in his inventory. Obviously, Janna can sit very far back and only use 2 potions.
And I think it's safe to say so far at the World Championship, LGD has not had a first 5 minutes of the game that was clean or correct. So much of lane swapping is conditional choices, and even though LGD started off the KT game mostly okay, as soon as it went to TBQ to make the decision to go top lane early, he just completely lost pressure, and LGD fell pretty far behind. They've always had to play from behind because they just haven't understood how to play these early games in this new patch.
And again, it's just the amount of problems for this team with the meta, with the patch, again, switching obviously a lot of things around for them. I like the ward from Team Solomid around this red buff. One of the few additions we often see.
Such a good ward.
When you
carried over between games.
Exactly, man. You just get it right there. Stuck at the red buff, and you get to see, oh, they're not starting there.
The ward from Origen. You said Team Solomid.
Yeah. It's Origen. Yeah, guys, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to see if you guys are awake.
We are.
Okay.
I thought we were going to have to stop you for the OG bias, but it's fine. You're just saying TSM.
Cool to see Dyrus and Santorin taking the Google.
Exercising strong jungle support synergy.
Easy fundamentals, same thing, same side here in the lane swap to start off our game. OG versus LGD. We'll see how sure of himself Peke is, saying that noticing a lot of the mid laners making mistakes, they're not capitalizing on him, and it has made Peke look like not the weak link of the team coming into the tournament, as was thought by many.
Oh, Peke has been looking absolutely fantastic. He's part of a lot more kills in that mid lane. He's really just having a big impact for the entire team. But Origen also have very high kill participation across the board for all members, because so many of these kills are coming from these team fights.
They really do. We talked about TSM's Bjergsen 45%. 33% for Peke and 30% for Niels. So that's a lot of damage you have to focus if you're going to take either one of them out.
So I just
gotta be quick.
Talk super quick about what Origen is doing now in this swap. Because they had that ward on the red buff, before they knew LGD was starting in their jungle. That means you can now recall with your top laner and your jungler, sorry, top and support, and you can often walk up to this tower and take a chance to see, okay, are they still waiting in this bush? Because normally LGD would send these guys back to start clearing their own jungle here near their own red buff, and obviously that means there's an opening for Origen to sneak in source and get some experience.
This is another big example of why LGD has been losing these lane swaps so greatly. If you're going to be putting your AD carry support in a lane with the top laner, you need to be able to threaten the 4-man dive. Otherwise, it's easily defendable by 2 people, because 3 against 2 is not nearly as strong as 4 against 2. And yes, Flame was able to teleport back down, but now they're down a teleport. They haven't shut down anything from Origen, and Origen's going to pull ahead.
And now Niels wants this wave in the bottom lane to start pushing towards him. He got it all the way into the tower. Flame will get some farm and experience, but that opens up for a potential jungle gang later on for Amazing once he's melee champion. And Olaf has to try and farm further up the lane, or you send your cannon down and you start 2v1ing him.
There were just 2 pings.
Origen is pretty quick on this one. It could be a 2v2 if Flame is able to land some axes. They could still be in a little bit of trouble just because of the level discrepancy. So there's a small chance LGD could have some way to fight back for this one, but with the damage that Flame just took, that possibility is done for. What I do need to point out is another continuation of having Flame teleport bottom lane is now Soaz is safe to be left up top lane since they know the threat of a 4-man dive is now completely removed with teleport being on cooldown from Flame. Maybe it could be from Godby though.
Look at this, Mithy gonna find TBQ as well in the jungle. Even more information given up here. Nice map movements by OG here to keep themselves in the lead.
And it's so key what Mithy is doing now. Keep track of where TBQ is and get a deep ward in that jungle, because again, it just buys more time for Soaz to go even aggressive towards the minions. He doesn't have to worry about the gank. No TP for Flame at all, and now Godby might be in trouble.
Very close. Just gonna have to burn flash on that one. Good extra damage added in by Peke for the command attack. Looks like they will keep eyes on TBQ as well. That spot by Mithy allowed them to just continue pushing this one into effect.
I will say one thing for LGD that's a positive though is they've gotten a lot of damage on that turret, whereas Flame, as Olaf, has generally only been fending against one person. It's really been PYL sitting in lane with Imp trying to push versus Mithy roam around, but still no turret.
So with Nils and Mithy now recalling from the bot lane, LGD knows there's a chance they would go up top and meet them in a 2v2. That's why Imp and PYL recalls as well. Said, okay, we need to get items. We don't want to sit just on a Doran's Blade. So it kind of stops the push from happening now. And we might just get standard lanes from here. And with no towers going down, and also fairly even in experience, we just see Flame slightly ahead of Soaz, and we also PYL one level above Mithy. So it is in favor of LGD experience-wise.
There's that level 6. Peke just teleported back to lane. Godby still wants to go a little hard and try and push him out. No mana for Peke already. Yeah,
and if anyone should know both sides of this matchup, it would be Godby. I feel like during the regular season, even though he hasn't shown any of it at Worlds, he was the best Orianna I'd ever seen. He had been so good at not only knowing different Orianna builds, his ability to just have strong placement of the Orianna ball while always moving, since Orianna has so many instant cast abilities. He would just take over games as Ori. And also, he's the one who brought Teleport Diana into the meta. He's the reason so many people started playing it. Now they might try a mid lane turret dive in LGD Special.
Knowing that Peke just used that teleport, it's going to take a little bit while to journey back to the lane, and they hit him where it counts. First blood, LGD.
I have to question where Mazing is moving on the map. He went straight towards the top side, maybe looking for a counter gank because Source were pushing up. But he obviously has no gank pressure on Flame right now with level 6 for him. So it allowed LGD to take bot lane control completely. They can even sneak down behind the bottom lane of Origin.
Yeah. Good vision control down bottom there, and Amazing kind of none the wiser. Maybe they were a little bit lulled about LGD's lackluster performance thus far in groups, because that type of mid lane turret dive is exactly the type of thing I was expecting to see from LGD heading into this group stage before they lost any of their games. They had executed so many strong mid lane dives, which are so difficult to do. During the LPL playoffs and regular season, there were many games against Pawn where Pawn would be like 0-5 because they were consistently diving that mid lane turret so effectively. Peke's got to be careful now with no flash and no defensive summoner outside of that.
Right, and they're making sure to keep eyes on Amazing as well. Much better warding. All those wards inside the camps to see the Evelynn instead of roamed around. But still, you see the bottom side of the map. Right now they know where Amazing is. So more plays could be coming from LGD once they feel the time is right. Only 8 minutes in here, not too much of a gold lead, and it seems like though that kill is kind of evened out what was happening in the lane swaps early.
Yeah, the only annoying thing for LGD is the fact that Nils got so much solo experience and is already level 6 against Imp. So what could have been that Graves bully into Kalista is not really going to happen in this game with Nils being so far ahead. And that's also why they could change the focus and say, you know what, Imp, just sit back, relax, we're going to go somewhere else on the map and create an advantage. Flame knows they can go and aggressive on Source because they have so many D-bots. Just keep going, man.
Flame.
Very hard. That's a low turret. Not going to be able to go with it. Nobody else there to help him as well to trade turret aggro or take it down after. So, got a flash out of Soaz and an ultimate.
Yeah, it almost looked like Soaz shorted the unstoppable force on the escape right there. I don't think he got as much. I don't think he got the max distance out of it when he was running away, which then necessitated the flash too. So Flame with also a decent early game play there. But the turret down bottom keeps the gold even for Origin.
I'm sure he definitely wants to step up this game and prove something for the world stage as well. LGD across the board haven't really done that in one lane, so somebody's got to take it under control. Flame going hard to start off in that top side once they matched up. Back down to the bot lane, looks like Godby may be getting a little bit of roam there, but these early wards from them. Looks like he actually is going to walk away from that. Might have gone for Amazing as well. We're going to let TBQ do it.
Everything in the last few minutes was just set up by LGD being able to get into that jungle and get the deep vision down and make sure Godby had the lead. They didn't spot Amazing. He's going in.
That was a great walk to the left side, staying just on the wing. TBQ right in the back pocket of Godby as well off of that roam, just putting more wards in the bottom red side. And he comes back for help in the mid lane.
Yeah, and this is actually the TBQ that Spawn wanted to see in other games. Instead of going around and playing these tricky lane swap scenarios, no, just gank mid for Godby. Let Godby try and take over the game on Diana, even though they don't get another kill on Peke. That's now over a level advantage. They're grouping mid. They're looking to take this mid lane turret and start a snowball.
Really like what LGD is doing so far. Just play around your mid lane, have the deep vision down. It's something they haven't done in the other games with getting into the jungle. They've just been sitting back in the lanes and kind of take it head on. And that's never been working for them because they simply got ganked all the time. They fell behind.
Right.
This is much better for LGD. Sadly for them, it's a few games too late.
Already at a group stage, but where were they this entire time? I'm sure there will be many an article about the demise of LGD heading into Worlds.
Seems like they were definitely trying a few too many things coming in. Nunu, Vi, a few other picks in the jungle. While those are also still good for diving and what we're seeing, they could never get it to happen.
Specifically, TBQ came in with the small champion pool. Lee Sin, Gragas, or Rek'Sai, pretty much. And most of those things have been banned away. And in disaster situations, he hasn't even been able to get Gragas.
It's true.
Oh, Mithy.
Definitely showing very formidable on this Gragas. The Fate's Call does not happen, not respecting the range of aggro.
Yeah, basically what happened is the Gragas cask knocked him, I think, out of Fate's Call range. So Niels would have had to use that the instant the Gragas started the ultimate, but before it connected. And misplay there by Niels, not pulling the trigger quick.
I feel like we've seen this a few times for Origen in the early game. Some misplays come in, they get caught out a little bit. Against Team Solomon earlier today, they fell behind as well. But then once we get to the mid-game, it's that shot calling that really kicks in for the team. They start out-rotating the other ones and really punish you if you're too passive or making too many mistakes. But in this game, LGD will have stronger side lanes when it comes to split pushing with the Diana in one lane and with the Olaf in another one. So it should be fairly simple for them to keep pressure on the map. Now going for Mithy again.
There's the Fate's Call just in range. Godby's going to try to get that crash in with the ultimate. Will they get Niels? He's on the backside. The slicing Maelstrom cannot stop Flaming Imp coming in off the wing. And nice collateral damage, but there's the Wombo back in with the ultimate from Orianna, and it does not look like they enjoyed that. LGD running for their lives right now. What a shockwave to turn the fight around. Godby gets hit. Another dissonance going to slow him down for the engage. Now they take down TBQ, and LGD may be overstaying their welcome a bit. Imp on the front line does not want to be there.
Yeah, a really aggressive call there by LGD, and despite the shockwave combo landing on pretty much everyone, that's not what suffered any casualties for them. I mean, he's behind him, but if he takes a step, Flame will kill him. Good to stay invisible there.
Definitely pushing their limits. Great movement by LGD. Not something they were able to pick up this early in any of their games before here, and it definitely seems like it's throwing OG off guard just a little bit. However, Origen does feel like they still have a bit of strength here, testing the waters themselves, going to see what they can do.
And LGD simply keeps playing around where Godby is on the map. Okay, he goes to the top side, we send up multiple guys, he goes aggressive, and we can take that dive. Look here how they're playing around where Godby is split pushing. So he goes on to Mithy at first, obviously misses the Q, but he still gets to knock back Niels with Mithy. Yep. And this is enough for LGD to restart the fight and have so many guys coming in from the side down here as well.
Yeah, specifically in from the side was a really gutsy flank that paid off huge. And then because I think they bursted so hard at the beginning of the fight, the full burst at this point in the game from Origen wasn't enough to kill LGD even though they were slumped. Then they reach a little bit on the re-engage, but still an overall successful fight for LGD.
It is really the way you want to play early to mid game, because you have 3 carries, you need farm on every single one, so make sure you spread them out, you play 3 lanes, and then once you start pushing down the minions, it's so easy for you to start moving. Leave the wave once it's going down to the enemy tower, walk in towards mid lane, walk in towards top lane, and then you have a numbers advantage when the fight starts, and it's Origen who has to react. Like we saw just here, they have to come in fairly late, or one by one basically, and they couldn't punish LGD for diving between 2 towers.
Something I was going to say about OG coming into this game that now seems to be lacking is they'd always keep doing what they brought their comp to do. That sounds like every team should. You pick a comp, you poke with it. If it's poke, you do this. But a lot of teams, LGD would pick a comp and sit back and wait for it to work, not pressure its advantages. Seems like OG definitely having that bit of instance this time.
I think so much of that happened for LGD because they just didn't know how to keep up with the early game. And then once they started losing, they just kind of multiplied the pressure on them by putting it on themselves since they were expected to do well. And now it's actually Origen who's just kind of expected to win. And LGD may have a sense of freedom since they're completely eliminated from the group. It's making them play much more characteristically to LGD.
Absolutely.
And I like seeing it.
Godby down the bottom lane. Teleport is up in just a few seconds. Can't say the same for Xpeke on cooldown for now. And he's going to be the guy trying to hold him. But he will never be able to duel him 1v1. It's always going to be Peke waiting for the wave at his tower. So then Godby can always move first, set up the play with his team. He's obviously going to be the main engager, honestly, jumping in together with TBQ and trying to get that backline of Origen.
So LGD making moves. Like I said last time, this game at 33 minutes was 51,000 apiece between these two teams. It resulted in a huge fight, and that was the only reason it swung towards Origen's favor. So LGD pretty much has OG's number if you look at that last match.
It's very true. One thing that we do have to keep in mind, though, is that if Origen beats KT in their next game, they are still first place in the groups regardless of the results here. So there might be an element of trying to save some strategies. Remember the way Origen has had pretty much a unique strategy against every team they've played so far in groups.
Absolutely.
And now playing 2 back-to-back games, there's a chance they have a almost better game plan coming into the KT game. But at the same time, there's still a penalty for losing this game. It means if they lose to KT, they don't get to play a tiebreaker match. And they are in huge danger of losing that right now, since LGD is snowballing their split push 1-3-1 competition, and there is no one who can really match the split push very well on the side of Origen.
They talked a little bit about expectations, or Peke did, coming in and how there were none. Well, coming into the second week, there are definitely some expectations now. You have a 3-0. So the pressure does start to weigh on your shoulders just a little bit.
Luckily for them, as you just said here, they are guaranteed to get out of groups no matter what and get into the bracket stage. Let's see what happened in bottom. TBQ.
Nice juke.
Misses.
Pulls in the Fate's Call with Slicing Maelstrom on. I like it. They're going to keep going, though. Godby onto Amazing. The exhaust from Mithy onto Godby immediately. That's not going to help with the collateral damage flying over his shoulder. They are now going to take down Imp. Here comes the TP from Soaz. Do they take down Imp? That's the unstoppable force that's required to do so. And LGD scrap out a fight 3 for 2.
3 for 3
in the end. You're right.
Mithy just face-checking straight into Flame here. Again, LGD are the ones starting the fight.
Yeah.
TBQ, though, missing his ulti at first.
Huge bloodbath here, but even though it's 3 for 3, LGD comes out well ahead since Origen had to use both teleports there, while LGD now has double teleport advantage in which they can force plays. Interesting how Peke teleported for a really good flank opportunity, but then was met by Flame and got zoned out. Flame is playing much better this game. Can't say the same about this initiation from TBQ.
He wanted the tower. He wanted the tower.
Let's call it a zoning ultimate.
For the homies.
Then he zones more by taking auto attack. It was really, he did nothing this fight, but it was carried late by Flame and Godby.
Look how late the TP is going to be from Soaz as well. I'm not sure if he's expecting LGD to keep chasing or what's going to happen, but he joins in now.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think Soaz thought the team had that fight and had great split push position in the top lane. He was hoping to force a teleport out of LGD, but when Peke got cut off by Flame, they had to ad-lib because they were actually going to lose the fight, and the teleport was there as an equalizer.
Well, this is actually where a lot of teams can learn what Origen does to adapt, if they are, to get back into this one, trying to open up that present that is mid lane so they can get themselves into the jungle for some deep rewards, something they have lacked all game, really on their half of the map.
Once again, though, the fight we see happening is down towards Origen's base. Because LGD, again, are having control of the map. They are the ones who can roam without using teleports. Flame moved beforehand, didn't have to wait. He knew what was going to happen because they were the ones engaging, and that makes it so difficult for Origen again and again. They have done their best now trying to at least go even in these fights. Soaz probably wish he was going to join a little bit earlier. Maybe he could have saved someone, but in the end, 3 for 3. Now Dragon for LGD as well.
LGD going for Dragon. Godby Mithy in the top lane. Looks like there are going to be a few. Three's a crowd here. Amazing.
He's going to try and kill one.
Niels, he was running at Niels. He knew that might be the kill. Very nicely played on that side, but they kill Mithy here. Godby may go for that Valiant kill before he goes down. They are able to slice him out. This is going to be a kill. Double kill for Flame. If he can keep getting that on Amazing, it's going to be a triple, but here comes the Command Protect. Shockwave actually pulls him perfectly away, but he gets hit by the undertow. Amazing doesn't get the dodge in, and Flame going huge. PYL now coming in.
Origin needs to run.
This an I think I can situation, or can LGD really pull this into their favor? It looks like they can. Soaz now in that I think I can spot, and he very well cannot. He has to flash out, and he's going to be the safety.
This just goes to show the danger of trying to force a fight when the opponent has double teleport available. The idea of attacking one person that has a teleport is sound, but they didn't account for the second. They knew LGD was down at the Dragon, but they took too long trying to deal with Godby and Flame. You really saw how powerful Godby and Flame are at this stage in the game, and once Imp and PYL arrived, it
is that 11 stacks on PYL for a Magi's?
I will confirm. It
10.
is 10.
10.
Right
good enough. Good enough.
Yeah, plus they're the only team to get a Dragon this game.
Yeah.
You can see the burst coming out of Godby's Diana is pretty unmanageable for Origen right here, as well as now the 4-kill Olaf, who's just ignoring any of the zoning crown control Origen is trying to put out.
This again. Obviously, again, Origen knowing they can just try and trade one kill for the Dragon, but with how hard it is to take down just one guy, beautiful combos from Godby, getting double ulti onto Nils, and then obviously the TP advantage for Flame. And then now we can see how both teams are trying to send everyone up there to help, but because these two guys have already taken out 2 of them and even take out Amazing with the last axe in the air.
Why turn around?
Well, because he put himself against the wall, so if he kept running, actually, Flame was going to hit him with that axe anyway. It was beautiful aim by Flame, and he would have had to juke backwards even sooner.
Fear you may be correct.
It's nice to be like, he should have just dodged it. Well, it was really well played.
So Origen will now have, funny enough, their TP advantage because both Peke and Source will have theirs ready. So this is their chance to avoid the 1-3-1 from LGD, and if Flame is sitting and split pushing, you put Source up there against him, and you try and force a play on Godby again. So you have a 5 versus 4. It can be one of the only ways for you to really get back into the game right now, at this moment, because we know how strong LGD are with their side lanes, and if we just keep getting this 1-3-1 split push, well, LGD is just going to take it home.
I wonder if this would happen again. Bring back the Diana. Used to see it back in NA when Scar would take the long lane to himself and just split push it out. Godby doing himself with that teleport still, making it his own.
And I hate to keep saying it, but before the group stage started, this is the type of play we were expecting from Godby.
Absolutely.
Split pushing monster, 1v3, hard to take down, strong lane, turret dives mid, LGD gets a big lead and starts beating people with overpowered solo lanes.
Bye-bye.
It's just the first game where LGD did not completely mess up the lane swap and fall super far behind early on, as we've seen in so many other games they've played at this tournament. Now, they were even slightly ahead in some experience. If you look at Flame, if you look at, obviously, Godby, because he got that kill in the mid lane.
It also was a instance of TBQ not going for anything hard within the lane's beginning. He was in vision, but he was always hovering Godby, always there for a counter, always there for safety. They didn't put themselves in a bad spot this game, as they usually do, with trying to go too hard early. Kind of just fell in their lap this time, and it seems that they can adapt once they have it.
I would have preferred to see Source against Flame on the top side, but Origen might just say he's the only guy who can maybe survive on the tower against Godby. There's no Hourglass yet for Peke, so he wouldn't really be able to stop the double Diana engage jumping in on him in the one-on-one. But we haven't been able to see Origen use their TP advantage at all. So we're gonna get LGD back in the driving seat. They can start split pushing once again, push down every single wave, and then now we start looking at Dragons and Barons as the next move for both.
Yeah, LGD will continue to try and split push and keep the pressure up, which they are oh so good at. But for Origen, it is really about stalling the game right here. This is where Origen has to get creative. They've been so creative throughout this group stage, maneuvering around in the mid and late game with even to gold leads, but now it's going to be even more difficult with a 6,000 gold deficit. The one thing they do have on their side is they have an Orianna who just finished death cap for pretty good wave clear, and the fact that LGD actually has very poor siege. It means that if they can get the wave clear, they can get the right wards down, and if they can avoid getting dove, Origen can actually pull this one out pretty long.
Godby will be able to dive someone 1v1. very, very soon for himself. He's going to be strong enough to do it, or at least just try and poke them away, force Origen to always go back to base and heal. And again, it just buys so much time for LGD to then make that aggressive play on the map. Yeah. Or might even say, you know what, we just start building up some dragons. It's sadly very late for them because there's only one dragon for them 24 minutes in. So it's Baron instead. LGD needs to look at and say, Origen, come at us. You need to come fight us and stop this Baron, but that gives us that open team fight.
Yep.
Where we're going to be so much stronger because our Diana and our Olaf right now are super, super
fit. The only thing stopping, I guess, just the Diana is that exhaust for Mithy. So once that's down, it is free reign for everybody.
Yeah, and with how Godvi so seamlessly uses the Crescent Strike with his Lunar Rush, you almost can't exhaust in time because the damage arrives instantaneously. They're trying to catch Imp.
Oh, Imp going collateral damage right back at him, but it's more of an execute. A little bit of front-end damage there. Looks like Flame is going to be on to Amazing. That could be a long chase down. It's going to be another fight on the other side of the map. Soaz gets popped in. That's not the tank they want. And it looks like it fizzles out for here. Whoa, Mithy actually goes down. That's what we were talking about. Or Deficio, that's what you just said. Somebody's getting zeroed out.
And he used the exhaust, too. It's just an example of how you can't really stop Godvi's damage because he does most of it from beyond your exhaust range. So you're only exhausting after the majority of his burst has come out. And they now lose the exhaust as well as Mithy once again.
So that window to fight becomes even stronger now for LGD. I'm sure they'd love to take this, but have to watch the unstoppable force and Shockwave coming in. Doesn't even look like it's going to be a problem.
No, Origen won't have the damage to take them down after already losing Mithy. And really this Kennen pick, so much of Kennen Kalista is built around the laning phase, being bullies right there, and take that lead that into the mid game and have these big explosive team fights. That laning phase was never really there for Origen due to the lane swap. And then also this Janna pick for PYL. We just saw it in action. He was standing behind, or he was standing at the Raptors, using ulti just to slightly shoot Mithy away, allowing him to then back down towards their own jungle and buy time. And they couldn't even take down an AD carry on the side of Origen. They're going for Godby now.
Well, pretty ambitious. Right next to him. Pretty ambitious here from OG. Looks like they're going to have to back off onto that one. Trying. Ultimate down onto Godby, but you see just how big he is right now. Didn't even really take that much damage from the rest of Mithy and Soaz a follow-up.
And there's a really small amount of damage in this Origen team composition, especially when behind. Pretty much all of their compositions to this point have had Soaz on a carry.
See how he's at.
Yeah, we'll get to see. So he took a fair bit of damage from Imp already.
PYL shoots two of them away, so Mithy didn't get the full damage of it, so it wouldn't have killed him anyway.
Yeah. And he'd already used exhaust on him, so I can correct what I'm saying here, but I don't think it would have mattered.
Oh.
Pope.
But this right here is the key thing when it comes to the split pushing. Notice how Godby's there so much faster than Pekka because he can move first with the wave pushed all the way down to the inhibitor turret. And then that also means for Pekka, he can't follow. Because if you blindly walk into the Diana, you're going to die. So he has to wait and wait and wait until he spots him on wards, and therefore he'll always be a step behind. And obviously Orianna needs to be there instantly. So you have that wombo combo with the Malphite Shockwave, because that's going to be the majority of your damage if you are Origen. So they can't afford to send anyone down to stop the split push.
I'd say it's looking pretty grim for Origen right now. The way Godby is snowballing, the fact that Imp is also very well equipped on Graves to continually outduel Niels, and also the fact that PYL is there to stop a lot of the wombo combo. He can disrupt some of the piling on of CC. He's a great pick against Kennen, can disengage him very adequately, and because of the 11 stacks on the Soul Stealer, as well as the Mikhails being completed, if someone does get focused, he's very likely to stop them from back.
Everything working out for LGD here as they play a bit of spoiler. OG not ready for this game coming in. Looks like they were definitely taken by surprise. Still a composition that they've run before within this tournament, but it is not working the same way. Peke did not have his start with Amazing, and Soaz on a little too, not even far behind, but not as big as he needs to be to get these fights going and keep them going.
How do we just TP'd in behind him? He's going for Niels.
Flash out on Niels. Looks like they may still want to fight. Moonfall goes down, but nobody gets caught in that.
It's a good trade for Origen, at least. You trade Flash on your AD carry for the TP on Godby. I think I say it's a good fight, a good trade, just because how important Teleport is for that split push. Normally, you never want to give up that Flash as an AD carry.
But as far as the context of this Baron fight, if they're able to force it, it's actually really bad for Niels because he won't be able to flash away the next time Godby tries to zero in on him. As far as the split push goes, I completely agree. But right now, Order's going to have to play with a flashless AD carry.
Not going to be easy when they're getting pressured around Baron and losing quite a bit of vision. They have the exit path right now of LGD, so things are going to be safe. They can hold their breath for now, but it is not going to get any easier unless they start stepping up. The Zhonya's will definitely help for Mithy. He won't become as much of a target as opposed to being finished.
But a Baron call for LGD without any split pushing pressure could be also the way back for Origen. Because once you have these guys stuck in the Baron pit, taking some damage from it, that's where the Malphite kicks in, that's where the Shockwave kicks in. We've seen it before in this tournament as well, how effective that can be. So with no TP on Godby for now, again, it just buys a little bit of time for Origen.
It's basically what changed the last game, except for not an Annie.
Very, very true.
Yep. And no Vladimir.
And no Vladimir.
Yeah.
No Emo play.
Before the big fight came in, before Godby did the teleport in, I was talking about how Soaz has been on damage dealers for most of Origen's successful games, which makes some of their late game strategies very well, as they're kind of outscaling in damage, and then their creative use of shot calling in the mid and late game can find them fights, and they've been very good at dodging initiations. Yep. Normally it's really hard for super squishy teams to dodge initiations and teams with strong front lines, but Origen's been able to do that. Now that they're picking a more conventional team, really old school actually, with Malphite and Orianna, it is diminishing their damage, and it also means that Soaz's flank as far as damage scaling is greatly diminished, and it's more on Peke to deal the damage.
We need to keep an eye on this bot lane all the time, because LGD is doing what they were known for in the LPL. Always setting up that slow push with the minions while you're baiting around the Baron. So you have two fronts you have to defend on if you're Origen. Luckily, again, in the double teleport meta, it's a bit easier to deal with, because you can always just have Peke sitting here. But it's still 4 seconds where he's not there. And if he's not there once Malphite goes in, again, that wombo combo dies out. So he has to TP in very early to fight for this one.
What's the ward that he wants? Peke seems like he's coming to the backside with the team, so they're all coming from the same spot. Now LGD has that teleport, and they can do whatever they want.
That's why they just start the Baron. It's fairly safe. You disengage as soon as you see the TP, so you can now set up the wave one more time. And it's not there. They're starting it one more time, because Peke canceled his teleport.
Yeah, that's strange that he didn't actually go in. But he'll make it there in time still.
They may be able to push mid lane here for Origen. They have the wave of Peke coming up. Need to worry about the flank, though.
I think he's got to be careful to conserve his mana in case there's an upcoming fight. With no teleport up, he's at about 1/3. So the last thing you want to do as Orianna is shield the Malphite going in and not have enough mana to do the alt-W combo. You should hold off on casting.
Good job by Mithy. Throwing shurikens, just staying on the edge of LGD's sightline there to make sure he could figure out where some of the wards were placed if they needed sweeping. Clears the pink as well, but they give up the bottom side of the map. You can see the dragon, and that will be dragon number 3 for LGD 32 minutes into the game.
And this would normally be the opening. Oh, Nils, he's going to walk straight into them.
They didn't really have enough vision down here. They may have seen him come from one of the sides and then predicted he was still there without seeing an exit, but LGD just go into a dark side of the map and rock out Niels.
Really big mistake from Niels, uncharacteristic for him so far at Worlds, and this gives a huge opening for LG to try and take more advantage.
Mithy caught where he does not want to be. That Zhonya's just used. Looks like he'll be an easy kill coming back up. Amazing gonna have to flash over the wall as Soaz is just ground pounding right now, trying to deter them from going any farther. LGD doesn't want turrets. They're gonna try to focus on whatever they can get objective-wise toward that Baron.
Just about to say this could be the small chance for Origen to get a pink ward down near Baron, but instead they're just getting...
It's a cat and mouse.
Just getting caught out left and right. Nils walking to that bottom and not expecting LGD to just go straight over the wall and kill him. Also with that big wave bot lane, he was saying to himself, okay, they're gonna go back, take the wave on the bottom side, push it back out, they're not gonna go for my red buff. Yeah. But LGD, you have the control now. Suddenly you don't feel the pressure anymore. You're not really playing for anything. You just try and show what you can do.
Hey man, you want a red buff. Who cares?
Really want a red buff.
And he goes for red buff, he ends up winning the game because they find Niels in the jungle, transition into a bunch of...
That's value of a red buff.
That is value right there. You know, could take a mini wave, could play safe, or I could invade the enemy jungler because they're so superior. No matter who they ran into invading that jungle, it was probably going to be safe.
And Niels getting Kalista did surprise me. Coming into today, 23 KDA on that team, still letting him have it as he flies under the radar. But it seems like as the team starts to fall of Origen, the members also kind of follow suit in that sense. Nobody's really being a huge standout carry right now.
No, and it really was just such a big problem for Origen after that lane swap, how because, again, we had different members on different sides, like Amazing was on top side near Source for a potential counter gank, it opened up for LGD so easily just to walk into that jungle and take full control, and setting up that dive on Peke in the mid lane. Amazing is going in now.
Amazing hits the Agony's Embrace. Mithy trying to get his ult down. Zhonya's will not be used before he goes down. Amazing now the focus of Godby, but he's forced to get out of there. A good hit by Niels. The Ren does not get a kill. And there are 3 huge members, TBQ, Imp, and Flame, just running down the path of jungle here. Not a safe turret to be at right now for Origen, and they are just going to get sideswiped here. Both sides coming from LGD. 1 goes down. That's actually 2 already for OG. Is Amazing heads for the hills. They're going to get Niels, and Origen can't even find safety under their own turrets right now.
LGD is just so far ahead. They were the ones pushing up. Origen said, okay, we might have to just go for an engage here to stop the push with the Baron buff. But we just see how hard it is. They were hitting Godby, the mid laner, all the time, and he didn't even go down.
Yeah, Imp is untouchable right now. Godby is playing really well on Diana, and Flame is having quite a successful all-off game as well. I'm happy for LGD to find this moment and have a strong game at Worlds, because it's been looking so hopeless for them in the first 4 matches.
First time I see him show off the logo.
He hasn't really had a reason.
Now he has 8-1-4.
Seems pretty polished now.
Oh, we're about to go 0-4. Logo. No, man.
Yay, look at us.
They're beating they're about to hand Origen their first loss at Worlds.
It's got to be bittersweet, too.
Not a lot of people expecting it to be an upset, that LGD is beating Origen. But right now, that is the case. Man, look at this guy spamming the logo.
LGD's the king of upsets. We were calling all 3 of their losses in the group stage upsets, and then we decided, you know, you're 0-3. We're no longer allowed to call it an upset if they lose. Now it's an upset when they win. Congratulations, LGD.
Well, here's that time that these 2 teams were tied at 51,000. Definitely a different story coming in here. LGD with a choose-your-own-adventure book on this run-through. 36 minutes, so as getting a little body slam there. TBQ wiping off the sweat, getting ready for another go. Throws out some Gatorade. And it looks like they are just going to haterade right now. Killing wards, going in for the turret. Tanking it up, Flame, why not? He has no reason not to. He is gigantic right now. Sterix, Bat Black Weaver. He's even got the Spirit Visage finished up so he doesn't get nailed by Slicing Maelstrom or that Shockwave. These guys are ready and prepared. Items ahead and surplus to take these fights over OG. That's what we're seeing.
PYL's got 16 stacks on Soul Stealer and 2 of the major components for Rabadon's Death Cap. I'm ready to see some AP Janna. With the way, like, there's too many targets for Origen to try and focus right now. They want to kill Godby, but Olaf, when he ults into the team, is an immediate focus target. Otherwise, he's going to run you down. Imp is raining terror from the back line. So it's really smart of PYL actually to go full squishy AP damage, because if Origen wastes a lick of damage onto the Janna, the other 3 giant threats are going to kill him.
I am afraid that Origen, no matter what they do right now, will not have the damage. So you just aim for that Janna, remove some of those stacks.
Get a kill.
Get the kill.
Lose the game. But you got the kill.
You got the kill, so I say worth. You didn't get 20 stacks. That's the goal for Origen in this game. Avoid 20 stacks.
Zyrena's talking on the analyst desk. Zyrena's talking on the analyst desk. When you achieve your goals, you need to set new goals. Well, maybe if you fail your goals, you also need to set new goals, because it's nice to achieve something.
And it's a simple one, because if Source use ulti on PYL, Shockwave, there's no flash. Seeing it.
Obviously, Origen can still achieve their goals in first place in this group stage. They've achieved so much, and this loss doesn't actually punish them that heavily if they don't close out to win, because their next game against KT, a win will still give them first place in the group. It's very important to keep in mind, and it looks like, as far as player cams are concerned, Origen is not taking this game very hardly, the defeat at least.
And that's the key thing, because they play right after this again, so they're going to stay on stage. You just have to kind of reset your mentality, your mindset here. Look at your pick and ban phase once again. Is there anything you want to change? Because maybe you weren't too happy with the way you were drafting. Obviously, it's going to be different against KT. But really for Origen, it's just about saying this game doesn't matter at all for you. And I'm sure the players know that. They were so happy after beating Team Soulmate and securing that 4-0 and getting into the bracket stage.
Definitely a game that Peke was not able to super control mid. Godby didn't go off in mid lane. but he has been a huge part for LGD's success throughout this one. Imp as well, cleaning up those kills, also getting a few for himself. And here, as I said, under the turrets isn't even safe. They're taking out the turrets. They're taking out Origen. Niels gets the Fate's call in. I don't know if you're going to throw yourself back in. Mithy makes the right choice, and he puts himself in base, but it's also in range of Godby. He was just waiting to see where the hamster went. This could be a triple kill. It is, as he brings in the Crescent Slash. Niels throws up the emblem, trying to give some pride to the team, and what a game coming in. Imp gets another one, 9-2 and 6 on the game with that Graves, and they're going to be going for the Nexus turrets.
Flame using the passive, man. Look at that Olaf player.
First Nexus turret goes down, the LGD flare goes out. They will not go 0-6 in the group stage. LGD finds themselves a win, and it will be over Origen.
Yeah, and this is probably the result that Flame wanted to have on his Worlds debut. Imp, a smile after all of the pain he's had to undergo so far at Worlds.
Leave it up to the heavens.
Feels good to have LGD get a win.
Just leave it up to the heavens, says Imp. Another prayer answered in 40 minutes.
Obviously, this also means that LGD's final game against TSM could put TSM to last place in the group, or LGD not to finish last place. It also means Spawn has managed to select every single LGD game improperly as far as predictions go.
Throwing him under the bus.
He calls a win in 4 of their losses, and as soon as he jumps off the bus, they're like, well, now it's so light, we can drive around really freely, and we're going to win the game. And they achieve victory, so good for them.
You just need that negative aspect, that false sense of security. You get it back.
LGD just wants to prove him wrong. That's it. They just want to prove him wrong.
We'll do that.
You know that person on the English language broadcast that casts our league sometimes? He just lost faith. Let's prove him wrong. I think there was more to this one.
Great game, though. I mean, from LGD right here. They played out really well in the lane swap. They set up that dive in the mid lane for Godby. Went back to something that has worked for them. They didn't really play around Flame, even though he had a good game on the Olaf. It was about snowballing mid first, and then get your split push going. The team that started playing Diana mid with TP, they use it again, and it works fantastic for Godby and the rest of the team.